YouTube, what the Napoleon is going on? Heir of Carthage here, and Napoleon Total War is going on for this week's throwback episode. I have you a multiplayer replay. So let me pull this up. So play battle, view replays. There we go. There it is. Yeah. So this was myself versus Hussar on the grassy flatlands. This map is atrocious. If by atrocious I mean boring. I mean, it's not ugly looking for a grassy flatland, it's just boring in terms of tactics. It's generally speaking, spread it wide and rush forward. That's pretty much, whoa, the battle doesn't start when the battle starts? That's weird. I forgot on these older games the replay starts like as soon as you load in. That's something that could be improved. See, there's all these little things about Rome 2, and maybe Shogun 2 does the same thing, that I like better than the old games, and yet the game gets constantly trashed on for its flaws. And flaws it has, don't get me wrong, but in so many ways I really do feel like it's improved on the Total War series. Its launch was disastrous. No one's argued that, even CA admitted it. But yeah, it's just the game itself actually really is quite good in my opinion. But in any case, I'm playing as France, and I'm going to be going up against Prussia. My opponent and I end up choosing very different tactics. My army's pretty straightforward. Here in front I've got 4 Chasseurs, or how, okay. Before you all start bashing on my French, I live in the southern United States. I rarely, if have ever heard French. I don't know how to speak it, so I can't pronounce it. If you want to correct me, it's fine, but for those of you who start to take it seriously and think that I'm crazy because I can't pronounce French, I don't know how to speak French. I can't help it. So in any case, let's keep going forward. And this is a Chasseur au Cheval over here on the other flank. Again, can't speak French. I've got 3 of them there. I've got another one on, well, let's see, that's a Chevaux Léger Lancer. And then here I've got another Chasseur au Cheval, which I think is just a horse-mounted hunter, I guess, I think is what it means. I'll quit fast-forwarding, though. Let's take a look at my opponent's army. He's got all light infantry. And the sound just glitched out for a second. There it comes. Yeah, he's got all light infantry. He does no line infantry, all lights. And then a couple of 12-pounders, and he's got 3 cuirassiers over here. And then on this side, he's got a couple of lancers. And then his general is way back here, trying to keep him safe. So, kind of an odd strategy from my my opponent. So the Prussian Fusiliers are very powerful, as far as in terms of light infantry. So they're going to give my guys quite a beatdown. French light infantry are pretty crappy, to be honest. They're cheap but crappy. So I mean, you can see I'm getting posed already.
Sir, our general is under attack.
The stray bullets are coming towards my general. Anyway, I've opened fire against his men. He didn't put all of his men into loose formation either, which probably would have helped. But it does leave his men, since he has no way to form a square, it does leave his men very vulnerable to a cav charge. So I'm going to go ahead and fling a unit of cav straight down the center and basically break his center. I mean, he did cause a lot of damage early on, but I'm going to get him good here. And then on this flank, I used some militia to act as a meat shield so that I could get my old guard into position. I honestly probably could have just ignored this flank for now, but if he would have pushed, it would have been bad. And again, here comes another cav charge towards a vulnerable unit that's already used its volleys. And I had pushed forward my line infantry as well, so now I can hammer his Prussian Fusiliers in the middle, and here comes another devastating charge. So this is a Lancer charge, which is going to be just absolutely brutal. Kills this unit almost down to the last man. And then I can go for his 12-pounder artillery. He's going to come at me with a cuirassier, which is fine. At this point, my line infantry can support. So yeah, just brought this cav back over here to support as needed. Again, you can see in the center, his Prussian Fusiliers, where they had some time to shoot, were brutal. But my cavalry disruption worked its magic. And here he has to commit a unit that's also going to probably take some fire. He does manage to rout my cavalry here in the center, but not after having lost his entire infantry center and a gun.
Our men are running, sir.
And he lost a Lancer unit there as well. So my opponent took some pretty heavy losses here in the center. I go ahead and form a square and retreat my light infantry so that I can catch his cavalry here. And all the while my cavalry continues to run wild on his Prussian Fusiliers and his 12-pounders. So now his 12-pounders are gone, and his Prussian Fusiliers are going to get destroyed by my Chasseur au Cheval. It's a shooter cav that's actually pretty good in melee as well. And then over here, my old guard threw back his Prussian Fusiliers, one of them in melee. Obviously not a real difficult task for old guard, but I mean, these guys are taking a lot of fire because Prussian Fusiliers have a good reload rate and are pretty dangerous. Yeah, this old guard into melee again. These guys are pretty beastly in melee. You can see that they're dropping this Prussian unit pretty good. And over here I formed some squares to keep my men safe from this Cuirassier charge, which would have otherwise been pretty devastating. Heavy cav is kind of hard to use in Napoleon, but when it does get into infantry, it is quite devastating if the infantry is not in a square. In fact, it's pretty hard to stop unless you shoot them, because your infantry won't kill them quickly. Over here, Chasseurs à Cheval cutting down these Prussian Fusiliers, and then all I have to do is just move on to the next unit. And I'm just kind of keeping the attention of the Prussian Fusiliers with this unit, so that they can't really face one way or the other. They'll get charged. Wish I had some painting tools on here like I do in Rome 2. See? Another nice introduction by that game. Some of you at this point are going to be hating on me pretty hardcore for praising Rome 2, but that's okay. I like it. I do. It's a good game. These militia came back from routing, and apparently I didn't even notice it, and they're going to get totally betrayed to these Cuirassier. This ought to be entertaining. Watch what happens when you're a peasant in Patchy's army. Apparently you die. Glorious, men. Way to die for the cause. Beautiful, actually. Quite beautiful. Let's see, so I'm going to minimize this as well. Yeah, over here I'm just going to run my old guard away from his regrouped light infantry and make a run back for my main lines, which have decisively defeated his center. Over here, my horsemen were doing some weird things, like I clicked a charge order on these men, but my men kept running towards, like, look, I click a charge order, like, who are you charging? Like the Ghost of Prussia? Don't know what was going on there, so I had to forcibly turn around and give him a move order back towards this unit. And this unit then turns around right before I charge it, which was strange again. I do manage to charge it and kill it. And again, you can see that these horsemen have no problem taking out light infantry. In fact, they excel at it as long as you don't get them shot to death. And here, I'm retreating my old guard, and these guys are actually in a pretty desperate situation. They're being chased by Prussian Fusiliers and Cuirassier. And the problem is, if I stop and go into square, the Prussian Fusiliers can destroy me. And if I don't, the Cuirassier can destroy me. So I decided to go ahead and go into a square, but at the same time started running forward my own light infantry to kind of dissuade his Prussian Fusiliers, and my gambit works, and my old guard is saved. So, despite my usual tactics of getting all my men killed, the old guard will live to fight another day. And those are some great units, very tough units. They didn't really get the kind of fight that they would excel at in this particular battle, because they were fighting against a lot of light infantry that outranges them. But if they get into a line fight or the right kind of melee fight, they can just be absolutely brutal. And at this point, I'll kind of come back here from a further away view. I'm going to start pushing this flank with my cav, and then I have another unit of cav on this flank. This is just a diversionary force. I put them on skirmish to see how it works, because I never used skirmish on Napoleon, and apparently I can't recommend it because it doesn't work so well. My men are on skirmish, but what was that? What's all that hesitating? And then whenever you're on skirmish, you turn around and take the charge. What a bunch of chowderheads. So that we can see that skirmishing really hasn't improved in Rome 2 either, because this looks pretty familiar. Skirmishing against the red line and getting yourselves caught. Whatever, they did their job, because this is what I really wanted. His cavalry was busy, while this cavalry mops up his flank. And this is exactly how you want to use your cavalry. Coming from the flank, and don't stop. Just keep charging. Just charge, charge, charge. That's all you're doing, is disrupting an infantry line and then supporting with your own infantry. So while the enemy infantry is distracted, your own infantry can move in and begin to fire and finish the job. So that's pretty much what I did there, and then I go after his general, at which point my opponent admits defeat. Good game to Hussar. He actually got more kills than me, but he had fewer men. So I guess that's the partial reasoning there. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed this throwback to Napoleon Total War. Chasseurs à Cheval racking it up here. Old Guard not doing anything too fantastic. But yeah, not a whole lot of enemies to kill, I guess, in all reality. Interesting. Napoleon, though, fun game overall. Good game to play. It was never my favorite. I just like the mechanics better in Empire, and I'll show you what I mean by that whenever I eventually do one of these throwback episodes to Empire. But Napoleon was a beautiful game. What I do like about Napoleon that I'll cover real quick too is you have Napoleon's battles here, which some of the battles the AI leaves a lot to be desired. And again, everybody likes to say that Rome 2 is the only Total War game that has terrible AI. If you haven't played these battles recently, then you don't know what you're talking about. The AI has always struggled for whatever reason or another. Doesn't mean these games aren't fun, and it doesn't mean that I'm here bashing on them. I'm just saying it has, and we all know it's true. So in any case, yeah, these battles are fun, but again, the AI can sometimes do weird things. Like I played Arcole once, and you're supposed to like capture Arcole, and when you go to do so, the enemy's trying to reinforce it. Well, if you go threaten their reinforcements, they just run to a hill in the back of the map, and you don't have time to beat the enemy in Arcole and then run all the way back across the map and beat these other reinforcements, just run off. It's just kind of a weird deal. But again, love the idea. Napoleon brought like this whole storytelling mode to Total War, and I actually really think that it's genius. I would love to see something like this in an Alexander expansion for Rome 2. I thought that it was cool what they did with the Hannibal at the Gates campaign. It was only like a $10 or $15 DLC, so I don't expect them to necessarily add like this and a campaign story mode, but if they ever did an expansion of Rome Total War, you know, something like with Fall of the Samurai was the Shogun 2, maybe it was an expansion into the Barbarian times or into Alexander's times or into the Peloponnesian Wars or whatever it was, doing something like this would actually be really cool in my opinion. Because Napoleon, that's one of the things I did like about it, is it had all these story modes, and then it had, let's see, Napoleon's campaigns. It had all these different story campaign pieces, so you could play through a tutorial, you play through Italy, Egypt, Europe, and then eventually fight the historical Battle of Waterloo. It was really kind of neat. Some people just like, though, the ability to just play the campaign, create your own history. Well, of course, that's what the campaigns of the Coalition allows you to do, and then, of course, the Europe campaign under Napoleon allows you to do that. So anyway, interesting game, great game. It was a fun one in the history of Total War. It was not expected by me, at least. Once Empire released, I definitely thought we were going to be seeing a Rome 2 next. Napoleon came out, and then we thought, hey, for sure we're going to see Rome 2, but then it was Shogun 2. But, you know, hey, I guess things are always worth the wait. At least in my opinion, every Total War game is worth it. I haven't played one yet that I really, honestly disliked. But in any case, Heir of Carthage signing off for now. Hope you enjoyed this Throwback Thursday.